Knowing your mics and what they are capable of will help you choose the right mic for any application. In this section, we're going to look at the difference between dynamic and condenser mics, microphone polar patterns, and the proximity effect. A dynamic mic has a usable frequency response limit of about 12K, as opposed to the 20K or so response of a condenser mic. You can see why you wouldn't want to use this type of a mic on cymbals, acoustic guitars, or maybe acoustic piano. It's missing all the airiness that gives you a very natural sound. Another feature of a typical dynamic mic is its cardioid pickup pattern. This gives it great rear noise rejection. The other thing I want to point out about dynamic mics are their limited sensitivity. Sensitivity is the amount of level that you get out of a microphone based on the input level to the microphone. The less sensitive the microphone is, the more amplification you need to get a full useful level. There are quite a few differences between a condenser mic and a dynamic mic, but here we're only going to talk about the three main differences. The first difference is that they have a full frequency response from 20 Hz up to 20 kHz. This really sets them apart in terms of how naturally they sound. It gives them the ability to capture every nuance of a vocal or maybe an acoustic piano. You don't miss any of the little things that really brings your mix to the next level. The second difference they have is that they have a very high sensitivity, so you don't need to be as close to pick up the full signal. The third difference is a condenser mic needs a power source. Most common is phantom power supplied from the console, though some condensers do have batteries or their own external power source. Now that we know the difference between dynamic and condenser mics, let's look at their pickup patterns. Here I'm going to give you a brief overview of the four main microphone pickup patterns used today. There are a few other patterns, but they're not used on a day-to-day basis in a live arena, so for that reason I've left them out. The Omni pattern has equal sensitivity to all sounds coming from every direction, the front of the mic and the back of the mic, except for in the high frequency ranges above about 4 to 5K. At that point, it gets very directional. As you can see here, you lose a little bit of the high frequency on the sides of the mic with the most amount in the front, and you lose a little bit more in the back just in the high frequency, and you may lose 1 or 2 dB, but that's about it of actual volume level. You'll most often see these in lapel mics and head-style worn microphones. The cardioid pattern is a combination of omnidirectional and bidirectional. As you can see here, you have a lot of rejection in the back, almost completely rejection, and in the front, you have solid signal coming in, and you start losing it just about 3/4 of the way back. Here you can see we have the maximum sensitivity in the front, and as you go backwards on the mic, you gradually lose, almost in a doubling effect, the amount of sensitivity in decibels all the way down to 20, and then complete rejection in the back of the microphone. This makes it really great when you're using it with monitors in the front of the microphone. With these two patterns, you do open up the back of the mic and have more sensitivity. As you can see, the supercardioid is not quite as sensitive in the back as the hypercardioid, and that's because the narrower you get in the front of the microphone, the more you open up the back of the microphone, and it starts acting more like a bidirectional microphone. Here you can see at 45 degrees, you lose approximately all sound. It's dead. Now, at the back, you still have quite a bit more pickup than you do with the cardioid pattern, and it's even greater on the hyper section. As you can see with the hyper section, you have the maximum capacity in the front. You lose a little bit more here than on the supercardioid, and it actually jumps up by 4 dB less here. You have a dead spot at about 35 degrees off axis. You pick up again with almost immediately, and it only drops to 12 dB, and then you have half the reduction on the back of the microphone as you do with the supercardioid. As you can see with the pattern here, you do have a lot more sensitivity at the back of a hypercardioid than you would with a supercardioid. These can be really, really great when you're using monitors or in a live environment if they're used properly. The thing you have to remember is your placement and what's going to be coming behind them, because you're going to get a lot of sound coming into the back of the microphone. So you don't want to use them in any situation where you're going to have sound that's coming directly behind it. The proximity effect is the boosting of low frequencies and compared to high frequencies when you move closer to the mic. A great example of this is the human voice. When I'm talking and the mic is an inch or so away from my mouth, you can hear that you get a really full, good sounding mic. As soon as I start to pull it away, even just a little bit, within 2 or 3 more inches away from my mouth, you lose the bottom end almost completely and you start to lose volume because of the nature of the capsule on the mic.